E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna and Jim, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Ginwa Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, it's Monday, a brand new week, and we are so excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am, we are, because we've been talking about living life abundantly and all that. We're going to be covering that this week. And next week, we're also going to be talking about a topic that Donna is very passionate about, and that is how to survive inflation. And that's a big thing. We're going to be covering all of that next week.
Absolutely.
And we're going to give you the best information, ideas, tips that we can. But today, this week, part one, and Monday be part 5 as we go through the week about live an abundant life, because, you know, you're so richly entitled to that.
Right.
And before we get started today, let's talk about some fun things. How about that, Donna?
Oh, yeah. National holidays. This first one is near and dear, especially to my husband, but he's kind of got me hooked on it, is National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. I am a sucker for hot fudge.
Oh, yeah. Put me down too.
Oh my gosh, chocolate. Hello. So I am trying to see where it started, but I don't know where. It doesn't really say when it started.
Whoever it was a good idea.
Right? But we'd like to thank them right off the top, because you know, hot fudge sundae is just an amazing thing.
Especially when you serve it with hands of love. When your loved one gives you the dish of that, oh, that's just, it don't get any sweeter than that.
Right? Edgy always does ice cream. That's his thing. He always makes ice cream, brings it to me. I usually do dinner, so it's a good trade.
Absolutely. And the next day we want to talk about today is the National Carousel Day. Now, the earliest carousel, as far as we can tell, it originated about 500 AD in the Byzantine, Byzantine Empire, the Byzantine Empire. And the word carousel, it derives from the Italian word garcello, I guess I mispronounced that, Garossello, and the Spanish word carusela. I pronounced that better, I think. But anyway, both of which means a little battle. And the name reference the 6th century style of jousting back in Europe and over in Asia, where knights on horses would ride in a circle while attempting to catch balls of perfume being thrown at them. In the 17th century, children began to play a mock version of this game on riding on horses made of wood. And so you can see where the carousel started getting its roots.
Right.
And, you know, the Carousel Day timeline, looking at 1871, Snyder registers the very first patent for a carousel. In 1971, Walt Disney opens, and the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, they had a carousel there. The National Carousel Association is founded in the United States in 1973, and in 2014, the National Carousel Association created Carousel Day. And Carousel Day is for all of us around the world, so get on your pony and ride, you know.
There's something magical still about being on those.
Yeah. You know, the ones here in the United States, they go counterclockwise, and the ones over in Europe go clockwise. And I didn't know that. And
the ones I've been on go clockwise.
They go like this.
Yeah.
That's counterclockwise when you do it like that.
No. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, you're right. I had to think about it.
I was giggling at you there because I was watching the wheels in your mind
I
turn.
know.
Yeah.
Some days are better than others. Today they're a
Yeah.
little slow on carousels.
Well, that's only Monday. Well, we'll get on our pony and ride. We'll be okay. And we got some more good stuff here on the national holidays. I mean, what's the next one on the list you'd like to talk about, Donna?
Well, this is kind of, goes with a lot of what we talk about, Jim. Health and happiness with hypnosis. So a lot of people, undergo hypnotherapy to improve their overall health and happiness. And, if that's what works, I think it's amazing. I have never been hypnotized myself, to be honest with you, but I know that there's a lot of good in it. It's helped with, depression, bad habits, PTSD, weight loss, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, having a really, really good hypnotherapist is the first thing.
Yes.
Right. But, health and happiness, however you go about finding it is key. It is key to having the foundation of a beautiful life full of energy and love.
Yes. You're exactly right, Donna. And I couldn't, it's amazing how once you unblock whatever is, blocking your energy, as Donna says, then it does not own you anymore, does it, Donna?
No, absolutely not. You walk so much freer and so much lighter. And, at least in my journey, I noticed the little things a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
The shape of the clouds in the sky, the hummingbirds outside, the doves singing, the silliness of my cats playing, because I actually take time to not only see it, but absorb it. And therein lies the difference.
Yeah. Being able to enjoy it is just amazing because it always has amazed me about animals, and specifically animals like dogs and cats. Each one has their very own unique personality. They really do. And of course, as we know, dogs live with us, and we live with
cats.
Yeah, Donna and Edgy, they literally have a cat house. They got a full of them.
We do. I talk about Bullet a lot, and that little rascal. He likes to get up and he knows he shouldn't, and he likes to get up on my counters and on the table. Ow! And Glock just bit me.
You're not talking about him. That's why.
Oh my God! And
that's
last
one snort
night,
for the day.
right? Last night he got up on top of. I have a in-wall oven, and there's a little shelf up there, a little space. And that little rat was up there, and I looked at my husband. I said, "Look at him. He's just sitting up there, pretty as you please, thinking he's all it." And I grabbed the fly swatter outside, and I walked in, and he looked at me like, "Hi, Mom, I'm here." And man, before he could move, I took that fly swatter and bopped him on the head. And the look on his face was like, "What?"
Yeah. Who do you think you are, woman?
Right? And I'm like, it's not always Bullet's world, is it, buddy?
Oh, my goodness. And the next one, of course, we had Carousel Day. It's also Merry-Go-Round Day because those two terms, they mean the same thing. Merry-Go-Round, I was familiar with growing up, in Carousel, they were interchangeable. And this one here does give a little bit more history about it. It talks about the earliest carousels were invented 500 AD, as I said before, by the Byzantine Empire. In the 1100s AD, they trained soldiers with the carousels. And it was a very interesting thing as soldiers compete in this game, a version of the current carousel rides today, to train for jousting tournaments. And this probably is why many carousels have horses. And then from 1760 to 1840, during the Industrial Revolution, mass production of heavy machines used in the merry-go-rounds is now possible. So these this just expanded the entire reach of carousel. And 1799, the first known carousel ride in America was operated in Salem, Massachusetts, and it was called a wooden horse circus ride. Very descriptive. It had to be a guy. What was that? What are you going to call that? Well, let's see. It's a wooden horse circus ride's what it is, boy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then immigration brings up the love of carousels. Immigrants from European countries bring their love of carousels with them, starting back in the 1800s. 1861, bicycles on rides. We've seen those. They're following the invention of the pedal-powered bicycle, and this contraption is found on many carousel rides and on the streets. And in July the 25th, 1871, the first carousel was actually patented. William Snyder from Davenport, Iowa, patents the very first modern carousel in the U.S. And the first carousel that was on Coney Island arrived there in 1876. And the 19th century, we saw some significant upgrades. Steam power replaces animal power, because at first they were pulled by horses.
Right.
And later in this century, it got replaced by being electric. In the 1920s, I found this interesting, Donna. They went from a horse to Mickey. Popular cartoon and comics and film characters are the new carousel decorations and figures. Then 1973, the National Carousel Association got established. And then on this day, back in 2014, the National Carousel Association's president, Betty Largent, together with carousel historian Ronald Hopkins, they founded the National Merry-Go-Round Day. So thank you very much for that, because that's always a treat for kids at a carnival to be able to ride the carousel. It's such a fun ride, and it's a very safe ride too.
It's brought joy to millions and millions of people.
Oh yeah. I mean, just think if when the weather's nice and you see a carousel, I mean, that just says have fun. It just, it really does.
It does.
And today, Donna, we're going to be talking about some simple ways to live an abundant life. And I think it really starts with getting yourself uncluttered in between your ears, huh?
It does. It does. And uncluttering can start obviously here, but it also starts in everything around us, everything that's affecting us in a cluttering manner. Mm-hmm. Right? My husband laughs at me because he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, what is wrong?" I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I have to get in the kitchen. I have to get it fixed. And he's like, yeah, he's kind of a typical guy. Oh, okay, what? It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
But once it's done, I feel better and can, go forward and cook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give you an example of getting rid of some clutter in your life. When Elvin and I moved up here to our home out in the country back in 2000, I think it was, we moved up here. The big stuff when you move goes pretty quickly. It's all that little stuff you got to put in boxes, and it just about drives you crazy. And I remember Ellen, she sat down on the steps there, and she says, "Jim, is this ever going to end?" And I says, "Well, it will if we don't get done before Jesus comes." And she says, "I feel like I'm just going to sit down here and cry." I said, "Well, don't do that. If you do that, I'm going to break down and snot up with you,
Right.
And then I said something very important to her. I says, "Evie, do you realize how much money we would have if we hadn't bought all this stuff that we thought we could not live without? Mm-hmm. And now we're its slave, moving it from point A to point B, and then we got to unload it and all that stuff."
Right.
But we got rid of a lot of stuff, and really uncluttering your life. That reminds me very quickly, if I may, about Preston Martelli, our good friend.
Yes.
Him, his wife, and kids. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Donna, but I think they left with 6 suitcases.
6.
Yeah. Preston was going to live the laptop lifestyle career, and he did. They got the idea of let's travel around the world for 1 year, and I can still take care of my business online. It won't be quite as fast in certain areas due to Wi-Fi or whatever. But the surprise that not only he and his wife got, but the kids got.
Oh,
I think they
absolutely.
I think they came home with, was it 2 or 3 suitcases? And
One.
wow. Anyway, what they saw, the kids saw this. They saw other children that didn't have anything like what they just considered, this is common for us.
Right.
Everyday life, okay? Just like, having, toilet paper in the bathroom. That's not a good analogy. But anyway, it's very, very common. They're just used to it. Donna's going to snort in a minute. But the kids got a joy out of giving some of the poor kids things that they didn't have. She's down for the count. That's 2 snorts. I might get a third one here in a minute. There we go. But anyway, think about what can I say? We'll be right back right after this giggle.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just a dumb country boy. I speak country English.
Oh, the analogies you come up with, brother. My gosh, that was
the kids just got a real thrill and joy out of giving away stuff that they wouldn't normally give when back home, and it made such an impression on them. They loved the experience. They loved the people that they met. They loved how generous these poor people were. It didn't have much. It was eager to share with them. Think about the powerful impact that had on those kids at a young age. My goodness.
Preston even says that is still their kids' favorite memory, favorite vacation, and they keep asking their folks, when can we do it again?
Absolutely. And to teach kids to live abundant and enjoy life, give everything away. Give it all away. Don't let it own you. And you tell that to the average kids, run around here in America, especially, hey, we're going to start giving away some of your stuff. They get all torqued up and everything else.
Right.
You know the way kids are, but we're as humans, we're just very, very possessive animals. That's just who we are.
Well, when my children were little and at Christmas and they'd get a new toy, and after a few days after Christmas, I'd say, okay, for every new toy you got, you need to give one away.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? I said, because you've got new toys. So you need to give one away.
Yeah.
For every toy you received, you need to give one away.
Yeah.
So, I tried to teach them at an early age that, you don't always need to hang on to everything.
Yeah. One thing I failed at as a parent growing up, when you're in your 20s and 30s, kids don't come with a manual. And I wish that I would have had the wisdom, the knowledge, the foresight, the compassion in my heart to teach them, hey, let's go out and let's do something for someone else.
Right.
And I didn't do that, and I regret that. And but also to free myself, and like I've told my kids, there's a lot of things I regret, and I share with them things that I do regret. And of course, James, I love his response. That's okay, Dad. We know who you are. Yeah, it's no biggie. And see, my kids, I'm their father. I'm their physical father, but in their heart, I'm their dad. And that means so much to me.
Right.
So much. Because I admit to them that when you admit your shortcomings and your faults, and you're brave enough to admit that, whoever you admit it to, they not only appreciate it, but they respect it. And that's one of the things that helps set you free to enjoy an abundant life. And, Donna, it just blows me away is that a lot of people think you have to be rich to enjoy a life of abundance. And in reality, the opposite is true, isn't it?
Some of the happiest people I have ever met have absolutely next to nothing. And some of
Mm-hmm.
the most miserable people I have ever known have more money than they know what to do with in 4 lifetimes.
Yeah. Especially when money becomes their god, if I may use that
Oh,
phraseology and or term, because that's exactly what
absolutely.
it is.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and I like to share this a picture. You and I, you folks out there in TV land, you and I, you're joined up with me and with Donna and me, and we're going to raise funds. And let's pick out a person that pick out just anybody in your mind. I don't want to name anyone's name, but someone who is very, very rich. They live in a big, huge, immaculate home. And we go, wow, we can get a good donation there. We go up there and we ring the doorbell and we tell them, we're raising funds for this worthy cause. And we were wondering if you'd like to donate. And, any amounts appreciated or whatever. And they would normally say, what? Well, I don't have it. Or whatever. They'll make some excuse not to give. And we will
Right.
walk away from there and we will think, you got to be kidding. You guys are filthy rich. Well, what if a person from a third world country that has absolutely nothing walks up to your place where you're at? They see your house, they see your cars, they see whatever, and they ask for a small amount of money. Well, I don't have it. What would they
Hmm.
think? You
Right.
got to be kidding. Look at all you got. And see,
You know,
that's how we can get caught up in the trap of the things of life that burden us and pull us down.
right. I remember my grandfather was born in France,
Hmm.
and his father, my great grandfather, died from pneumonia. He was a fisherman. And so he was, I think, 4 or 5 when my great grandfather died. And Grandma Marie kept, the house together and the 3 kids by
Uh-huh.
being a seamstress. She was an amazing seamstress. And when France was getting ready to send the Statue of Liberty
Hmm.
over to the United States, anybody who could pitched in. And the story that I was told from my father, because my grandpa didn't talk about it much,
Hmm.
um, poor as church mice, and he gave all the pennies he had saved up for the Statue of Liberty.
Mm.
So it's you know, for me it's a thought of it's very humbling.
Hmm.
It's very humbling when you give away more than what you have or more
Mm.
than what you need. I'm at that point in my life where less is more.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even sell anything. I give it away. I'm on a exchange group on Facebook. It's called Buy Nothing. And so we just put up what we're giving away and we give that away to somebody who might have use for it.
Hmm.
To me, it blesses somebody else's life.
Amen. It sure does. It sure does. And the thing about when you bless somebody else's life, you're going to be double blessed.
Oh, absolutely.
And Donna and I, we know folks that the only thing that they're interested in is what's in it for them.
Hmm.
And I use that expression. They're only interested in buttering their own bread.
Right.
And they're never happy. Oh, they may be happy for the moment, but I'm talking about a lifestyle, living and demonstrating a lifestyle of happiness and jubilee. I
Hmm.
remember growing up as a boy in North Carolina on a farm. We go to town, and it was common. And Donna, I'm sure you've heard this too. Men walking down the street whistling.
Hmm.
And
Tipping their
today,
hat.
yeah, tipping their hat, open the door for ladies, which is what
Mhm.
men should do. So you young guys out there, learn some manners. A lady is a lady, and open the door for her. And the B word for a lady is babe or baby, but only if you know her very well. And otherwise, call her a lady or refer to her as miss or whatever. but be respectful, because when you give respect, you're going to get respect.
Hmm.
And Donna, it just really floors me how if if you saw a person walking down the street today and they're whistling and they're happy, a lot of people would probably have that horrible attitude of what right do you have to be happy? And that's because they're all cluttered up with the stuff going on in their heads.
There's also an attitude, though, Jim, going out and what is wrong with you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Hmm.
We have gotten away from being neighborly.
Hmm.
And granted, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be careful, because we should.
Yeah,
There's unfortunately a lot of evil in the world.
yeah.
But being neighborly, I've said this before. I can't tell you. I don't think there has been a time, or if there is, it's only probably once or twice in an entire year that I go to a grocery and I don't have a conversation with somebody I don't know.
Hmm.
And when my husband's with me, he just looks at me and smiles, because he doesn't, I mean, he'll talk to somebody at Home Depot about something all day long, but just to pick up a random conversation at some place, he won't do it. Even at Home Depot, it has to be
Hmm.
pertinent, right? But that's just the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
I'm wired because I feel like it is my obligation, what I was born to do was
Hmm.
to bless somebody else.
Hmm.
And even
Yeah.
if it's just giving somebody a smile and saying, that is a beautiful color on you.
Hmm.
You know what? Maybe that's the only thing they had for the day.
Hmm.
So that's a simple way that I live in abundance.
Hmm. I have a habit when I'm walking into a store or a place of business and someone's coming out, I'll, I'll say, "Good morning," or "How you doing today?" or something like that, and I'll
Hmm.
go on and just let them know that I recognize them as a human being. Now, you're into some people who are introverts, they're not comfortable doing that, and
Right.
I understand that.
Sure.
But you can still be a nice person, a compassionate person, and that will vibrate from your body,
Right.
and they will know this person is a nice, pleasant person. Because we pass people like that on the street, and there's some people you pass on the street and you want to keep, wish I had a third eye in the back of my head so I can watch them. And
Right.
there's other people you pass on the street, you don't know their name or anything like that, but they just vibrate that they're a nice person. I have felt that many times, and I imagine you have too, Donna.
I have. And
Hmm.
that's the first thing, Jim, that you need to do to live a life in abundance, is to
Yes, ma'am.
change your mindset and your
Hmm.
attitude towards life, and
Oh,
be
isn't that the
grateful
truth?
for the things you already have.
Mm.
So if you're not thankful, you won't be able to take advantage of the things you already own. And
Hmm.
that includes your skill set, your strengths, your unique qualities that makes you beautiful and uniquely you.
Hmm.
Imagine if you didn't have all these things. Wouldn't life feel pretty discouraging?
Hmm. It sure would. It sure would. And I think we got a little bit of technical difficulty. It looked like your camera is frozen there, Donna. So
Oh, my
it's
bad.
working now. It's working now. You see what happened when she gets talking real deep like that? The equipment goes like that to her.
Oh,
But
goodness.
there are so many things in which we can be grateful for. One of the things that I like to do, and I try to do often, I do not do this as often as I should. When I wake up in the morning, I just have this attitude of thank you for the heartbeat in my veins and the breath in my lungs. And thank you for the gift of this day, because that tells me, hey, you woke up today for a reason. It's time to get it up, get it in gear, and get it done.
Right.
And that's what life's about. And when you're obedient to yourself and your focus is on how you can serve others, game over.
Hmm.
That's the foundation, I think, of living an abundant life.
Well, and I think for me, one of the things that I do daily is I'm always grateful for my marriage, for my
Hmm.
husband. And
Yeah.
that's an easy habit to not be in. when we're married and life happens and, things come at us and work and problems and death and all the things that life throws at us.
Yeah. Bills. That's another one that really gets a lot of people revved up,
But I make it a point to let my husband know each and every day how thankful I am for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because although he's not perfect, nobody is, he's perfect for me.
There you go, Donna. There you go. Because there's so many things in our life we can be grateful for. How about your loved ones, your family, your friends? Having a healthy body and a mind,
right?
Wow. Having a comfortable home. This is not something that's 5 bedrooms, 5,000 square feet and all that. And I know some people have bigger houses. A comfortable home is a place where you can go and you can sit down and relax. Whatever you have to eat, be thankful for it.
Mm-hmm.
You may not have much money, especially with inflation and stuff like that, but that should not rob you of your health, your happiness, and your peacefulness in your home, because you're entitled to that.
Right.
You really, truly are. We're going to be hammering more about that next week, but I wanted to put that in there because you can learn to live an abundant life, even if all you have is a cave to live in. Because you don't have to possess name brand clothing and a luxury car. I have never, ever in my life bought, an expensive name brand item. I'll buy, blue jeans at different places for 10 or 12 bucks or something. They're not Levi's. So what? And I've got some Levi's, but I don't have to wear a brand to say this is who I am. And
that's important. I will say I wear Wranglers, and I wear them because they are what fits me.
There you go.
Right? They fit my length because I've got a extremely long legs, and because it's hard to find jeans for women in my size with the long enough legs.
Yeah.
So I do buy those, and they are pricey.
Yeah. But they serve you.
Right. I don't buy them because of the brand. Although I like them, and I've worn Wranglers all my life, and I've worn Levi's too. But it's because they serve me.
There you go. There you go.
It is purposeful when I buy something. It isn't because of vanity.
There you go. Because people that wear brand names for people to see, that's a statement.
That's ego.
This is going to sound terrible, but that's a pitiful statement to make. Donna and I, we've been asked before, are we celebrities? No, we're not. We just proved that. I gave an analogy of toilet paper in the bathroom, and she snorted 5 times over that, But if we thought we were, if we allowed that to puff us up with pride, we would both be worthless. That's my point. Because we just want to, you can tell by the TV screen there or the viewing screen, whatever, the way you're watching us, we're just common down to earth people. And where our focus here is how we can bless you, maybe give you some thoughts to think about, because my goodness, when it comes to living an abundant life, Donna, I think the number one thing, or one of the things on the top of the list, would be make good use of your time.
Absolutely.
Because time management, when we manage our time and don't let the clock manage us, it's a very useful skill that we can develop and learn, because it helps us stay organized, get things done, and focus on what's important in our life.
It also helps us focus when we can do that on time for yourself and time for your family.
Yes, you got to figure that in there. Absolutely. And that is so important. And another thing, Donna, you talk about this a lot, you got to have strength. That's important too, isn't it?
Yes. Without knowing your strengths, it's going to be impossible to put any of your goals into action.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to recognize your true potential and put it to work if you
Mm-hmm.
want to live an abundant life.
Yeah. And part of those strengths is having the courage to deny yourself
Right.
and say no. Yeah, especially when you want to buy something or something like that you don't really need, and you really need to uh, use your money more wisely. Have the discipline to say, I really don't need that because it's just going to burden me more down and leave less money for me to take care of more important things, even if one of those important things is helping someone else that's
Right.
less fortunate than you. I mean, that story about was it your grandfather giving
Yeah.
his last money for the,
Yep.
oh man.
Yep.
And see, that's something Donna can be proud of. Her entire family can be proud of. Not a puffed up pride, but be a pride that she had a grandfather with that kind of integrity and that kind of a heart. Wow. That is something to be proud of, girl. I got to salute you on that one there.
Yeah. There's quite the story there with my grandfather and everything that he went through and overcame. And because of that and other things, later in years, before my grandfather died, my dad had ordered a plaque, and it was
Mm,
part of the money going to the restoration of the Statue of Liberty. Because when my grandfather immigrated and came over by steamer ship, he went up to the torch to the very top, which has, of course, been
wow.
shut down for years.
Hmm.
And so my dad had ordered a plaque on the Statue of Liberty that has his name engraved on it and the year he came over.
Wow. That's
Pretty,
amazing.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things too, Donna, I know you've talked about some of this in the past and in your coaching career, is that whenever you have a little victory, what should a person do when they?
Celebrate it.
Hmm.
Celebrate it, because victories, we don't, victories are little victories. We
Hmm.
don't always have these big, huge, firework victories, right?
Mm-mm.
But we remember in our life the small ones over the years
Hmm.
more so than the big ones,
Oh
because
yeah.
we have more small ones than we
Hmm.
do big ones. So
Hmm.
celebrate them in some way, whether it's, you know, you take time out to have your favorite cup of tea or iced tea, or go in the pool, or whatever it is. Take some time to celebrate that victory.
Yeah, take some me time there
Yep.
and enjoy it, and kind of like pat yourself on the back and say thank you. Just celebrate. All that's just it in one word.
Yep.
And Donna, one of the things that surprised me down through the pathway of my life is that when I meet people I hadn't seen or see them again after 20 something years, and they'll come up and says, I remember the time we did this. And it's been a few times I'm going like, I don't really remember that, but it made such an impression on them.
Right.
But it was a very small thing.
Hmm.
It really was.
Right.
And it made an impression on them. And that's how important it is for the small things in your life to really mean something to you and to others.
Right. That's what
Mhm.
keeps us going and over again. And okay, this one is rise early.
Oh, I
So
do
if
that.
I do too, I rise very, very early, way before the roosters even think about getting
She
up.
wakes up the roosters.
But if you're in the habit of staying up late, sometimes, if you think about it, you're missing out on some of the things knocking on the door early in the morning.
Yeah.
So if you make a habit to wake up early and take full advantage of the day ahead of you, and there are
Mhm.
people who, they work nights or whatever, and they're day sleepers. But think about what maybe you could do different to bring
Mhm.
that abundance into your
Mhm.
life.
Yeah. Also, too, if you stay up late at night and you got to get up, normal time, say 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that, you're not giving your body the proper time it needs to rest. And I remember when I was an instructor, we started classes at 7 o'clock in the morning. And a couple of times I'd have these young, it happened rarely, but when it did happen, I nipped it in the bud. And, students, one or two students would come in, 5 or 10 minutes late. And I'd wait the break time because class has already started. And I said, why were you late? Oh, I overslept. I said, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did, Sarge. I'm telling you the truth. I overslept. I said, no, you didn't. I said, your problem was you didn't get yourself in bed early enough. You stayed up too late. And I said, you need to get yourself in bed no later than 10 or 10:30 so your body can get rest, so you can be up, dressed, ready to go, and in this seat before we start at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always end that conversation. We're not going to have this conversation again, are we? No, Sarge, no. But see, you got to break it down. See, they were using the excuse that they overslept, but really the proximate cause, the root of the problem, they didn't get to bed early enough to give their body rest. And that's important because when you get enough rest for your body, you've automatically complemented your health.
Right.
And that's critical.
Well, and another way of living in abundance, Jim, is to learn new skills.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you want to take up painting, take up painting.
Mm-hmm.
Do something, but learn something new. Something, or go back to something that you used to do that you love, that you haven't done in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And so, in a way, it's taking up a new skill again because you haven't done it in a long time.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right, because be like a kid, enjoy life, and kids learn how to laugh, and when they're small like that, they laugh a lot. They don't take a lot of things serious, and we grow up and then we get intelligent.
Yeah, then we get into trouble.
And we get miserable. But realistically, learn how to, learn something new, something different, or do something new or something different. Get out of the rut of life. Because living a lifestyle of just doing the same thing over and over and over and over, it gets old.
Mm-hmm.
It gets old for all of us.
Well, it kind of wears your soul.
Amen.
It wears your soul down.
It certainly does. And so, another thing I'd like to talk about is, when opportunity comes, take advantage of it.
Well, there's that saying, Jim, opportunity doesn't knock twice.
Mm-hmm. And as that old country saying, if you snooze, you lose.
Right.
But when opportunities come your way, take advantage of them, because these are gifts that come from the love and the abundance of the universe. And the reason why that opportunity came to you is because you have the talent and the gifts inside to create, to develop that, and make sure your focus is on how can I develop this to be a blessing to others, my family members, friends, strangers, whatever, because in the end, I will always be blessed. Mm-hmm. And I look at that philosophy kind of like when we used to go in and into the chow line there, and we would, if troops are going to be fed, the leaders were always at the end of the line.
Right.
Because you want to make sure your folks that you're in charge of is fed. And that shows respect without saying a word.
Right.
And when they come in and we may be standing like, go ahead. No, get a tray. Go ahead, please. And it's very, very important, because the respect that we earned, it was just, it just blessed us so much, because they looked at us in a new light. They really did. And I will always treasure that. Mm-hmm. Because think about it, you may not have served in the military, so what? But think about if you're in charge of a group and they see you going up front ahead of them to eat, you're demonstrating, and your body language is vibrating loud and clear like a loudspeaker. I'm only interested in making sure I get my belly fed first.
Right.
That's a terrible message to send. They pick up on that, don't they, Donna?
Mm-hmm. They do. They do. Um, okay. I love this next one. Have few but true friends.
Oh, yeah.
And I can honestly say that the older I get, the smaller my circle of friends are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I got to share something with you, Donna, and I'd like for you to comment. Of course, I know Donna will be honest about it. I've always had this mental block because I hear people use the word love. Yeah, I love you, man. Yeah, I love you. And I just can't up and say that. Even though I'm struggling with, I know in my heart I'm supposed to love others. But to just come right out and say it, I can't do it. I mean, if it's my brother, family member or a close friend or something, that I can do that because it's true and honest. But then I think the real action of love, demonstrating it, will speak louder than just say, I love you, man, or love you, lady, or whatever. That just seems so
It
empty
seems
to
it
me.
seems very false to you.
Yes, ma'am, it does. It does, because that's the way I'm wired.
Well, and I think that just comes down to how your energy flows, Jim. That's just my
Okay.
opinion. I think it's
Okay.
just how your energy flows. Like, um, I can say I love you to a lot of people whom I know, and I
Hmm.
truly mean it.
Right.
But on the other hand, if I don't say it to you
Hmm.
and say, hey, see you later, I don't have
Hmm.
that connection with them. So I
Hmm.
just think it's truly about your energy balance. So I
Okay.
don't think it's anything to worry about. I personally just think it's
Oh.
it's your energy balance in where you're at with that person and your
Hmm.
relationship with that person.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just can't up and just say, hey, I love you, man, or
Right.
I just, because it's not coming from the heart,
Right.
and I'm just not wired that way, and but that does not mean that I cannot love mankind. Not at all. I'm just not going to just up and say I'll, love you, you know, and things like that if I don't mean it, because I do love our audience, even though I've never met you. I do love you for you appreciating what we do here. And that's genuine and that's from the heart. But I just don't throw the love word around just, casually, just like, you know, I just can't do it.
Right.
And good or bad, I mean,
I don't think there
being,
is a good or bad on that, Jim. I really
yeah,
don't. I think it just
mhm,
is. And
yeah,
some things, it's been my experience in life and dealing with energy that sometimes we never get the true answer.
mhm,
Even going through energy issues,
right.
sometimes we'll never get an answer. And the answer
Yeah,
is, it just is.
yeah,
It
you're
just
exactly right.
is. And when we learn to live with that, if we can't find the answer,
Hmm.
one way or the other, and just accept it just is, we
Hmm.
can go forward in our life and live in abundance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because we're all different. We all
Hmm.
have different gifts and talents, and we're all wired differently. Because can you imagine what a boring world this world was if we were all created to be human robots? You
Right.
know, Phew. Of course, I guess we wouldn't know the difference. But think about what would be like if all your animals were the same in personality and spirit.
Right.
You know, sometimes that could be a blessing. But other times, but realistically, I mean,
Couldn't
that's
handle four
that's probably
bullets.
oh, that's a full arsenal there. She named him Bullet for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we knew.
Hmm. It was one. His energy came through the came with him and says vibrating. I'm Bullet.
Oh
I'm
my
big and
gosh.
I'm bad.
He wasn't any bigger than this when we got him.
Hmm.
He was just a tyke.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I get a kick out of one time I brought a little cat home and I was kind of worried about her, whether she'd like it or not. And she looked around like, this will work. And so you're my servant, right? Okay. I can live with this.
Hmm.
But it's amazing how quickly they read us so accurately. Animals do, and
Right.
but living a life of abundance starts with you freeing yourself up of the things that just free the shackles of the things in life that do not serve you. That is
Bingo.
so critical, isn't it?
It is. And again, in my experience with working with people with energy, it goes back
Hmm.
to a person, a place, or thing.
Amen.
Oh,
It sure
when I
does.
moved from Ohio, I knew I needed to get rid of almost everything I owned in
Hmm.
order to move back here and receive more blessings. Not more stuff, more blessings.
Hmm. And the first thing he does is go out and get 4 cats.
No, I brought three
Yeah,
with me.
she brought 3 with her. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
brought three with me, left one there.
yeah.
Yeah, so I already had a house full of cats, but of course they all passed.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
we, got these little hellions.
Hmm. That's a house full of fur and a house full of energy right there.
Right?
It really is.
Oh,
But ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to living a life of abundance, it starts with you. It starts with your attitude. It starts with uncluttering the things, the physical things of life, and say, I'm going to get out of the physical. I'm going to give up worrying about things. I'm going to love myself, then I'm going to love others, because love in abundance is like the sunshine.
mm-hmm.
I mean, if everybody walks outside their house in the sun during the day in the sunlight, would that take any sunlight from you? Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. And it's important for us to realize that, to unclutter our lives and to give thanks where we can and be grateful for what you got.
And you have to decide what abundance you want in your life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because we have to get rid of all that negative garbage that we
Mm-hmm.
carry, that baggage. We don't go on vacation, folks, with taking all our silverware out of the kitchen and
Mm-hmm.
plates and blankets when we're going to a tropical island. We don't pack all that stuff in suitcases and carry that baggage with us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have a life of abundance, you have to get rid of your baggage, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to decide, what is it that you want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Donna, our time is about almost
It
gone. It
is
really
gone.
is.
It is.
And I just want to thank you for, the wonderful show today, your insight, your wisdom. And Donna and I both want to personally thank you, the viewers,
Yes.
because we realize that you could actually be, watching somebody else or not even, paying our show any attention at all. And we know what a blessing that is. And we do not take that for granted, do we,
No,
Donna?
we don't. No, we don't. We're appreciative of it every single day.
Absolutely. And we sincerely hope that you and your loved ones are healthy and happy and blessed in all areas of your life. And we'll be back tomorrow with part 2 of Living an Abundant Life. We're going to dig a little bit deeper, share some more things with you, give you some things to think about. And remember to love yourself first, then you can love others. And be sure and give yourself
Grace.
grace. Be kind to yourself. And we hope that you'll tune in tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.